look at the example of you driving to work and you're waiting at the at the traffic light. So one strategy could be if you see any light, you're going to say yes and start driving. Another strategy would be if you see any green light, you're going to say yes and start driving. Or third strategy would be if it's a green light and it's elevated up off the floor and it was presented immediately after a red light, then you're going to start driving. So you have different strategies. And there are two big strategies. So you could either have a conservative strategy, so conservative, or you can have a liberal strategy. So if you have a conservative strategy, you would always say no unless you're 100% sure that the signal is present. So you're always going to be saying no unless you're 100% sure the signal is present. And the bad thing about that is that even though you'll get all the correct rejections, you might also get some misses. On the other hand, you can have a liberal strategy where you always say yes, and in that case, you'll always get all the hits. However, you might get a few false alarms. So these are the two different strategies that you can use. So this.
All right, so just to review kind of what strategy means, thinking from the framework that the MCAT wants you to think from, there's only two types of strategies that are necessary to understand. The first one is conservative. So basically looking back at the situations that we can look at. If a signal is present or it's not present, right? There's a truth behind that, right? Forget about what I think about whether the signal is present or not. This is either here or it's not here. So basically what we're trying to say here is that with a conservative strategy, no matter the situation, you always say no. And what can this lead to, right? If this bottle is here, right, then I miss, right? Because I got that incorrect, right? The answer is dependent on what I say, right? So if it's here and I say no, then it's a miss. If it's here, if it's not here, and if it's not here and I say no, that's correct. That's a correct rejection. Then liberal, you say yes more than no, right? So liberal, what this means is that if this is here and I say yes, it changes my answer to head. Absent changes my answer to false alarm. So strategy is more or less saying, depending on what the situation is, here or not, how are you going to approach the situation, and what is the thought process? It's kind of like cognition almost. That might be why C is there or not, but that's kind of what the point is, the point that they're trying to make there.